Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is December 18th, 2023. That would mean 7 days until Santa Claus, 7 days until Jesus' birthday, 7 days, 7 full days. So exciting. So exciting.
Exciting? I don't know about exciting.
Wait, what's in 7 days? What are you talking about?
What? How could it not be exciting? 7 days. That's 1 week.
Yeah.
That is a quarter of a month.
All factual. Yes.
Yeah. I try to maintain a very fact-based opening. Don't want to do non-facts at the open.
This is starting off phenomenally.
I thought so. Anyways, so here we go. Starting in a new week. We have had just a magnificent run, and the market continues to feel like it's feeling pretty perky. Maybe Santa Claus coming to town is going to be something that gives us that next leg up. I continue to look at levels lower, thinking that we got to at least touch it, or at least like pretend like we're going to touch it. And we're going to come in this morning with a relatively flat open in comparison to what it's been over the last several days, several sessions. And with that, to me, there did not appear to be a lot of enthusiasm to the upside. I think that unfortunately, some of this move that we're seeing in here are just shorts just piling up on top of each other. And that could make for a very, very messy open. If you were considering being short, very, very messy. When people get very frustrated that they're not getting their move, and then they start covering, and then you get, everybody running for the gates. Either way, I think this time of year is a time to do, reflection, that kind of stuff. I think it's the time of the year to really think about what you want to do or change for next year. And here's the cool thing. You don't have to wait till next year. You can start it right now. I don't see a lot of news type stuff, Sonny. It seems like a lot of regurgitation and ifs and buts, maybe a couple of suches and whatnots mixed in with the whole thing. So I think, let's do these charts, Bender. You do these charts, we'll Sonny do the news, and then Stonk will do some more charts. I don't see a whole lot other than the market's going to open and it's either going to go up or down today.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to go to the right. This much we know. All right.
See, facts, all of them.
Facts. Yep. Let me get the screen share going here. All right. Okay. So right now we're looking at a 60-minute, seeing this triangle forming here. If we go into a 15-minute, you get a clearer picture of what that looks like. I mean, what really stands out to me so far this morning is we have potential seek and destroy. This is the Asia session right here. So you can see that we've already taken out the highs and lows of that. Outside of that, you've got trendline resistance here with that last touch of the top of the triangle creating this trend line. That comes in 47.89. And then you got 47.91.75 above that. You can also see this, trend line forming, just over the last, what is that, 6 hours or so, 5 hours. So kind of be keeping an eye on that. I'll throw that on here real quick. And if it breaks, you can see this 15-minute fair value gap in here. If it breaks below that, look for this 47.71. And then the bottom of this triangle, which also coincides with the bigger parallel channel, right? So if I go to 120-minute, you can see this trend line down here would coincide with the bottom of that triangle. Uh, below this in here, like gets below the bottom of that triangle, this area in here becomes resistance and you get some sort of shift. You can see this massive candle here and everything that got left behind. If I go to a 60-minute, here's the 60-minute fair value gap. So if it decides to break out of this, this becomes resistance. This 47.64, 65 area. See what it does at 57.25. It takes 47.57.25. This becomes resistance. Then I would look for it potentially to come down below 47.37.25 and fill in some of this candle. There's not a whole hell of a lot else. We've got really close targets here as far as, what we can take out, stops above, liquidity above. If we zoom way out, let's see, not a whole lot else based on where we're at right now, 47.83. I mean, 48.60.25 is this candle's high, and I don't really have a whole lot else. There's not a whole lot in here. I think keeping an eye on flow today, kind of let that be the guide. I don't anticipate that there's going to be a ton of volume. I don't know how volume was on Friday, but
Wednesday, Thursday, volume was strong. I left early on Friday. I have no idea.
okay. So obviously we got contract expiration last week. So we'll kind of see, let's see if we get any positioning into January. That's kind of what I'd be paying attention to. Historically, tomorrow bearish, and Santa Claus rally starts typically on the 22nd, on Friday. And then the couple of days following can be a hat tip nod to what we get early January. If the market's strong, what is that? So the 22nd is Friday. So if the market's strong, 22nd, then we're closed Monday the 25th. Then we look at the 26th and 27th, and if we close green on those days, then we'll start off January strong as well. So gotta be tracking that stuff. I do have a couple of tickers that I'm going to post in the room just to kind of take advantage of that. We talked about stocks that are making new 52-week lows Friday of last week. Looking for those stocks coming into today and tracking. And it's a short list, so I'll take a look at a couple of those. I'll post them in the room. And these are typically stocks that you would only hold for a couple of weeks, if that. Outside of that, I don't have a whole lot else. So,
All right, very nice. What you got, Sonny?
Morning, everyone. So we've been seeing flow in X for a while. They finally got a buyout offer from Nippon Steel for $55 a share. So it's a nice move on it. It's hovering around 51 right now. So I don't know if there's any more move left in it, but yeah, the buyout is around $55. Adobe and Figma have terminated their merger. So I'm sure they're having a party over at the FTC about this. They finally won something. So Bank of Japan, their decision is tomorrow, the 19th. The talk is like, they're not going to pivot or change any policies in this meeting, but they may be doing this in the Jan meeting where they set up a new policy and do something with the interest rates. So definitely something worth watching. We've seen movement, especially in yen, dollar, as well as futures after hours based on that. Last week and the week before, I had talked about the shipping, containers, things like that. Um, we were seeing some flow in it. So they gapped up because all the large shipping companies have now started to avoid the Red Sea area, and they're gonna go around Cape of Good Hope, and all those different takes longer. They're avoiding to use the Suez Canal as well as a couple of ports. And I keep seeing more and more news coming. Like anybody who's using that Suez Canal Red Sea area, their insurance is going to go much higher for them to transit through that area. Um, we could see some nice moves on those shipping container companies today
What's the
also.
reason for that, Sonny?
It's all the drone attacks by the Houthis on the commercial ships.
Hmm.
So they're avoiding, they've been successful in hitting a couple of them, some damage, nothing that would sink them, but it's one of those, hey, we don't want to be liable for it for our employees and things like that.
Is this like kids throwing rocks over the overpass, or is this something more egregious?
No, I think it's just like that because, and the U.S. has and the U.K. have put some couple of ships in there. They keep knocking them down. These are not like this big, like the UAVs that U.S. uses. These are smaller, the Iranian type. It's more of they're packed with Semtex and stuff. It's just the impact of them being able to do it and the psychological impact of it versus
Got it.
a big material impact.
Got it.
And I think 5 minutes ago, I just posted they were talking about rerouting oil ships also now out of that area, and which would take longer to get around. So, yeah, oil has been moving up all morning. I don't know if you watched it. It's over 70, 75, 73 now. Yeah, it moved up nicely. It got a nice big spike and has just kept going. And the other news, so Neo got a nice spike this morning. He's been holding it. They got investment from the Abu Dhabi investment fund, took a $2.2 billion stake in Neo. Neo also has their investor event on the 23rd, where they're expected to announce new markets and new models. Definitely something worth watching. It does make a nice move off of flow. VOD, we've seen shit ton of flow in that. A couple of weeks ago, they were just hammering it. So there's a proposed merger talk between the Italian telecom and VOD. I haven't really paid it. I haven't seen it move much. So probably won't be taking any action on that. There was some news on the crypto sector that Gensler said they're not going to be approving the new spot ETFs. Haven't verified it, haven't seen anything officially on it, but it's their crypto, coin, and all those names took a little dip. Some rebound, but not much there. And we did have massive dark pools coming in on Friday. So take a look at those. I mean, Microsoft, Apple, I mean, they were huge amounts of.
But we get
data
that for
came in.
with OPEX, right? That's
Yeah,
like a
we
thing.
do. Yeah, especially the quad and the year end. We usually do see a lot of movement in there and rebalancing and the whole year end stuff. People, staging themselves for the next move. And that's about it.
All right, very good. Stocks. Pagey
Yo,
Stonkington. We got an efficient show this morning, man. We're just motoring.
we're gonna slam through some charts here too. Let's go. I'm doing my share. I'm sharing. And
Benda,
share.
Benda.
What? Almost. I might have fucked that one up.
Bender.
I'm hitting the button. It's not doing it. There we go.
All right. Okay, let's jump into this. So this was, we'll start with the smash day stuff. So we had Friday's price action. Well, let's start with Thursday. Thursday closed above the prior day's high, so we'd be looking failed breakout. So Larry Williams would have been shorting when we broke this level here, 469.25, and his stop would have been up here at Thursday's high, 473.73. So Larry Williams would potentially be sitting in this short red if he was still in, or took a piece off there. If he was still in, he'd be sitting red with a stop up there. So we'll get an alert that pops in the room. Qs didn't hit. We would have, this would be the entry based on this candle here, because we haven't had these candles haven't closed above prior day's high just yet. So we would still be waiting on this alert there on the Qs. And IWM did hit. So again, Larry would have got in short, breaking below this level, and stop would be above there. So we got an alert set there. So that's kind of what we're looking at on the smash. We can do crude really quick. Sonny mentioned the move. So let's see. I'll start on the 4 hour. So first level of importance was the 72.93. Would want to see if that was just a stop run there, because we could see there would have been a lot of stops right there. Then the next one would be up here. There'd be stops sitting up here. So if we're going to hold this breakout that we just did, 72.93, watching for a retest or some kind of pullback, then the next thing I would be looking for is the 74.41. Below, we zoom out, we've got this trend line that we talked about last week that ended up being, that was the low there on crude. So kind of will be interesting to see how some of that Middle East stuff plays out, see if we get any macro that affects crude or whatever. But kind of what we've got here. So we had, stop, run, bounce, and then we've got a bunch of stops sitting up there, 4 hour gap in a blue box up there. If we do lose, if we can't hold this 72.90 area, we've got this 70.75 looked important, ton of wicks off that, and then we've got a little 4 hour gap below, kind of what we got going on crude over there. If we jump over, we can take a look at the Russell here. Not much has changed since what we were looking at last week. We've got this trend line, we're up against it, we haven't been able to pop and hold it. Actually, we jump back over to the weekly real quick here. We've got this orange boxes are weekly fair value gaps. So based on the fact that the weekly candle closed above this gap, would potentially be looking for pullbacks for this to work as support down there, that 1977.9 over here on the Russell. And then if we drill down a bit, let's see, we've got pink boxes above are volume imbalances on the daily, that candle's body low to that candle's body high, same over there. And then go further, we're just kind of, building this out a little bit here, consolidation. Maybe we've got a left shoulder and a head and we're waiting on a right shoulder, or it could just turn into a massive flag. And then, again, if we pulled back to here, I'd be looking for that area to work as support. Yellow box below, if we really start pushing to the downside, it's going to be a daily fair value gap. So some of the things, and you can see right here, there's going to be stops sitting there on the Russell. So we'll see what we get. Maybe it'll be a similar go stop out bull with break even stops at 1994, 1995 area to run it back. We'll see what we get. NASDAQ's looking pretty similar here. Actually, I think I have the good markup over on the March contract. So NASDAQ similar to what Bender had showed us. We have, if we jump over to the 4 hour, talking about, the March contract doesn't have a lot above, so I just took fibs on this last leg, and you can see this first one above is showing its worth, 16,902.50. So if we're going to continue to the upside, I want to see that pop and hold. This pattern, with a slight, almost equal highs would be kind of considered like an ascending triangle type setup, as opposed to a rising wedge where we would be making higher highs. So, and most often this pattern would break to the upside. So we'll see what we get here. I've got marked up. So this was a 4 hour gap, which this one continues to show its importance. So, if we did, I'd be looking to see, we can see there's going to be some stops sitting down here. So we'll see if we push through the box. If it's just, we got to take out some of this double bottom stuff. I'll adjust that to show that. And so we'll see what we get if we come down and tag that 16,756.75. Be interested to see what they do with it. So we got that going on. Let's see some of the other interesting charts from the weekend. With the XLE. I'll jump out to the. Let's see. So yeah, XLE on the weekly. You can see that's just like a nice looking falling wedge going on. Possible double bottom. So going to be looking for continuation to the upside on the XLE. We'll see if we get any flow. And the other interesting one was a massive breakout on the KRE. You can see this one, popped a key level here. This looks like an important one. We blasted through it, so it's going to be a good one to see what are we going to do next over here. Is this, maybe we need to build out a little flag for some more upside. I'm going to be watching for flow, but these are kind of going to be the, sectors where I'd be interested to see if we can get some continuation. We saw flow into USB, and so yeah, just going to kind of keep an eye out and see what else we get in the room, see what flow looks like. That's about it for me.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very flow centric because it's like we can draw a bunch of lines and we can look at these areas to where we think that it should go, but flow's been pretty spot on, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at Bull. Bull was building out some big SPX multi-leg for Friday, and now I think Friday that was one of the biggest option expirations of all time. Friday, so it's like the floodgates could potentially be open here either way.
Mm-hmm. As far as continuation or some type of a drawdown. At the end of the day, Friday, what were you guys seeing? Because I left early.
Yeah, I was in and out on Friday as well. I don't know that there was anything that stood out to me a ton. It did look like they were interested in the KRE over here for upside. TLT is another one. I mean, this thing is just on fire. So it's like going to be watching for TLT flow for continuation.
Very nice. All right. That's really all I got. It's like I do believe we're going to get some type of a drawdown. I just don't know when or how that's going to be the case. Depending on the time frame that I'm looking at, if I look at a 10-minute, this just looks like a big stupid rising wedge bear flag that we're coming down to the trend line now. So if you're watching the NQ, a break under 30, maybe it gives that move down that Stonk was talking about, which would be about a 60-point little pull. When we're looking at the VIX, it's been dismantled in a lot of ways. If we're looking at some of the other inverse indicators, they've been pretty much dismantled and are on some pretty serious lows. So any type of covering rally on those could indeed, kind of smack this around a little bit. I think one thing that we all need to keep in mind, no matter what we think or believe, charts and flow, will always be should always be the trigger, regardless of what you believe. And the reason for that is, and I'll be very specific in my reasoning for it, is the fact that we see trades being put on all the time that are, opposite of any type of reality that any of us have ever existed in. So you have to be careful between, there's just a trade going on right now, and trying to decipher what the actual fundamentals of something should be and trying to trade against those. I think you have to be very careful about that mentally. So there's a lot of, I don't want to say upside catalysts. I think all the upside catalysts for the most part have been priced in. Now these things actually have to take place. And so we'll see what time frame is existing around those things actually happening. I don't have anything else. Do we have Fed speakers popping off throughout the day, or was that it this morning?
I don't believe we have anyone else. Let's see.
Okay.
Not seeing anything on Forex or Market Watch.
Okay, very good. Sal, you're asking a question here. You'll be able to see the screen visually on the YouTube. Well, I think there's a link above that Bender posted out to get, so you can kind of click and see moving forward what it is. Thank you for joining us. Happy to have you. Guys, do you have anything else you want to add or put in here?
That's it for me. I'm good.
All right, so this will be my last full day for a while. So I'm going to try to make this a great full day, and then go from there. That's all I got. We'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good times.
All right.